Yes, Dave King and Matt Martin are here. We're back on your radio at 7:08 a.m. It is 61 degrees in the Hub City and shooting for a high today of 94 on this Friday. Yes, folks, it is Friday. We made it. May 18th. And with us, as promised, is Gary Boren. Good morning, Gary Boren.
Good morning, Mr. Dave
what
King,
is it you're
Mr.
running?
Matthew.
What is it you're running for?
A dog catcher. We got more dogs we need in this town.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
Hey,
Gary Boren is running for county judge against Curtis Parrish. Now, we had Curtis on for an hour Wednesday, and we will have Gary on for, well, we'll just give him 30 minutes.
2 hours.
So,
No, you get 30 minutes.
So, does this feel like your second home yet?
I tell you, I'm just thankful to good Lord that it's Friday.
Are you?
And tomorrow is Saturday.
And this is going to be over soon.
And Sunday and Monday. And I know Curtis and I agree on this situation that we'll be glad when this is over.
Yeah. There's a few things you can agree on.
We can find common ground there.
Good. How's the campaign going?
Well, it's going great. It's hard work. You have to get out every day and remind yourself that your purpose of running, and what the true issues are. It's about people in our community. It's about homeowners. It's about taxpayers, citizens, and what we need to do to make their life, get the government off their back, less regulation. Let them keep their money.
Now, you're talking like a conservative.
You don't have to have people call in and say, "Is he a conservative?" I just believe I'm a small businessman for 47 years, and we built our business, family-owned business, and we understand how to make a payroll, understand handling major corporations in Lubbock, how to do different things, different ways, and worked at Texas Tech for 23 years. 23 years.
Well aware. Boren Services.
And over 500 workers per game, event staff, security. And you have, and you're only as good as you perform. You don't perform, you're not playing. That's just the way it works, So you have to learn how to be flexible. Everyone has different ways of doing things, but at the end of the day, I just believe people know best what to do with their money, their home, and I don't want to go in there and start dictating to them what they have to do with their home and their money and how much we need, so we can have, instead of 10 trips to Austin this year, we're going to take 20. I just want to do everything I can to let you keep your money and let government focus on its focal priority issues and stay with it.
This would be a good time to remind you, if you would like to ask Gary a question, you can do so. You can call, and Connor will take your question at 770-5790. Or you can text us a question to 806-680-2790, and we'll be happy to relay that to Gary, and he can get you an answer.
From day one, the first day I announced in January, my opponents announced in the fall, September or October, somewhere there. And I've said the same 5 things. I've stuck to it. I believe in it, and it was the reason I'm running. Number one, I think it's wrong, it's immoral for elected officials to vote themselves raises, 41% the last 4 years. I disagree with that, and especially when there were so many overwhelming needs in the county. I think that's wrong.
And I think some of them are paying for that too, Gary.
Well,
I think the voters are.
That's right.
Are letting them know.
And the voters are the court of justice, and this is where you get to set the record straight. Number two.
No, I do want to bring that up as far as that's concerned. The voters may be the court of justice, if you want to call them that, as far as this is concerned. But the damage, if you want to look at it that way, the damage has already been done. So what are you looking at doing to reverse
Well, the damage,
that?
On the first point of themselves giving raises, we have 2 conservatives that have been elected or nominees for the Republican Party, and I will join hands with them, and we're going to reduce those salaries and give the money back to the taxpayers.
And both of those guys have endorsed you.
That's correct. That's Chad C., which is in the precinct for the Northwest County, and Jason Corley. And we are going to
Can you legally do that?
Yeah. If you can vote something in, you can vote something out. That's the way it works. You can grow hair, we can shave it. And that doesn't sound right. If you get a tattoo, you can't take it off, though. Is that right, Dave?
That is true.
But anyway.
You're stuck with it.
We're going to do it, and we're going to do it the right way. We're going to analyze it, get it corrected, and we're going to give it back to citizens. And that's how you fix it. And this is the only group of people who can elected body that can really do it the way they did it. And I just disagree. There's no way more. It's just not right. That's okay. That's how I feel about it, and that's why I made it my number one issue. My number two issue are property taxes are outrageously high. If you own a home, you own property. We have our property taxes in the state of Texas are huge, and the appraisal process needs to be fixed. I've worked, because working with the city council with Mayor Mark McDougall, Tom Martin, Jim Gilbreth, all those that worked with us, Frank Morrison and Victor. I'm trying to remember who all else was there. We did truth in taxation. And the truth in taxation basically means we're going to tell you the truth. We're not going to take your money and say, hey, we didn't raise your taxes, but you're paying more money. And they point to the appraisal office. You go to the appraisal office and complain. We don't have anything to do with the taxes. It's your elected officials. People aren't stupid. They know what's going on. And so we did truth in taxation. The Governor Perry recognized that. He placed me on the task force to study appraisals in the state of Texas. I traveled all over the state of Texas, looked at appraisal process, studied every appraisal office, evaluated, looked at new things of doing ways, and we made a great report that I think you'll see more and more come into focus in this next session, and to how to fix things, and the governor recognized what I did, and he placed me on this task force. And I tell you, I know how to go to work for people to help you keep your money for your own property. And then, in talking about our property, then we have to talk about Sheriff Rowe. Why do we give him the tools? Because we have an unbelievable amount of drug crimes going on, human trafficking going on. We have property crimes going on. We got some MS-13s coming through. We have all kinds of hardened, illegal criminals, alien criminals. They picked up 81 in the first quarter this year. Sheriff has 81. Folks, these aren't people that are crossing the border, making a living, sending money back to their family. These are rapists, murderers, hardcore criminals that have been here several times, and Sheriff Rowe's been out there capturing them. We put them in detention. We got to have the DA's office having top-notch prosecutors to prosecute them and get the heck out of here and put them in state jails, the felony jails, state prisons. And he's got to have tools. Now, what tools are we talking about? You got to have the best weapon. I'm going to make sure that our weapons are as good as the cartels that they busted here in Lubbock a few years ago. I want to be sure that our bullets that we give our officers are just as good. If they have to do what they have to do, they got the right kind of ammunition to do it. They got to have the best kind of training. You got to have the best kind of high technology to compete with cartels. This is a new world we're living in. And we have a great force of law enforcement that is protecting us with DPS, LPD, the Sheriff's Office, the feds that work. They all work together as a great family, protecting us. And so we don't really know that because we don't see it. I've ridden with them. I have seen it firsthand. I don't take people's word. I experienced it. I've been on SWAT calls. I've ridden in the helicopter DPS and watched them take down criminals here in Lubbock. And it's they do their job. It doesn't make the headlines, but you're safe at home. Your wife is safe at home. If you're a single parent or you're a retiree or a widow, you're safe because of what's taking place. These people need the money. And he's having to compete with hiring now with Texas Tech. The LPD is hiring because we started at 2 per 1,000 back in early 2000 to protect us. He's having to compete now with schools. All these schools now are having to ramp up and hire officers.
Okay,
so, Gary, we're gonna have to go ahead and take a break. But when we get back, your opponent's had a few things that he said flat out that you're not qualified for the job. So we're going to talk about the qualifications and kind of what he said versus what you feel you're going to be able to provide for the county.
Thank you.
News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM. We are KFYO Mornings. Dave King, Matt Martin here on your radio at 7:22 AM. And we're visiting with Gary Boren, who is one of the candidates running against Curtis Parrish. for the Lubbock County judge. We have invited you to text us if you have any questions for Gary at 806-680-2790. We've got a text message this morning. Now, folks, I just read them. I didn't write them. This is from the 577 prefix. It says, former Mayor David Miller endorses Parrish, tells me a lot about Parrish. You can take that for whatever it's worth. Another one from the 577 says, go, Gary, shave the commissioners.
Shave.
So, Gary, the question I have...
You want to take him out to the ag barn.
So your opponent has brought up that you don't have a law degree. You have no judicial experience. And he said, your opponent has said that he is ready to do 100% of the job when he goes in, and that you are not ready to do that. In fact, he has stated that it's going to cost the county $150,000 to $200,000 the day you walk in to hire a new judge to take on the responsibilities that you're not going to do. How would you like to answer to that?
Well, speaking from the deplorable side of us poor, common old citizens out here, that we're not smart enough, we don't get it, we don't understand. Basically, I'm going to fall back on the Texas State Constitution, written by our founders, who said, when they set up our system of government, they set up district courts and they set up county courts. We have 1, 2, and 3 here in Lubbock. And they set up a citizens constitutional court. And what is that? It's a court made up of people like you, me, Dave King, the truck driver, a teacher, a retired homemaker, or a small business person. Anyone that's a citizen and can be the constitutional citizens county judge. Now, to imply otherwise is wrong, because that's the way it is. And I don't care, how you can be a space age engineer. You could be, the next Einstein. But if you're Donald Trump and you want to be Lubbock County judge, or you're the dean of the Harvard Law School and you move to Lubbock and want to be the county judge, we're all going to sign up for the same courses and instruction the state of Texas gives. This is, if you pull up the Secretary of State, it will tell you the positions that require a law degree and the positions that don't. And it says county court judge does not require a law degree. You've had Tom Head there and Don Macbeth, who are citizens, and they're not attorneys. To imply that us citizens don't qualify for these jobs is wrong. As a matter of fact, in 252 counties in the state of Texas, only 13% of those counties have attorneys as county judges. And they told us, when I called the county association, that's generally a high number. Generally, it's lower than that, because this is the citizens. Generally, your attorneys will run for county court law at 3 or something like that. I don't know why Curtis, since he's so concerned about probates and guardianships, he didn't run against David Nelson or Judge Philip Hayes.
Okay, well, question is, and we quizzed him about this. My understanding is that everything that appears, every case that comes before the Lubbock County judge has already been adjudicated. And he says that is not so. Is that so, or is it not so?
Here's the deal, Dave, and I know we don't have time to go into all the lengthy discussion, but we're going to follow the state law. And we're going to follow the state law and the state training. And there's also an attorney already in Judge Head's court. There's also an investigator to help on these matters. Okay. So, to imply that because we don't have law degrees is wrong.
So do you plan on hiring another judge?
No, and that's another theory. That's another theory of his. And that's because he has no experience in government to know how that stuff works. He has gone out and said, I'm going to hire all these, have to hire a judge, and he's even created a salary for them. I ain't going to do something like that.
And another question. One thing he's brought up a lot is that you have to be well informed of the law. Are you well informed of the law, or do you plan to get well informed of the law Do you think the 16-hour course is going to be
no?
enough
There's more
to
than that.
get
But
you informed
excuse me, and I don't mean to imply the 16 hours and all of a sudden you're qualified to go fly a jet. That's not true. There's 16 hours. There's lots of training that you're required to go through. But the situation is he's going to have to go through the same training. They're not going to say, "Oh, gee, you practice law, so you don't have to." No, he's got to. If the dean of the Harvard Law School came, he's going to take the same courses and same training. We all do, and to handle the required treatment of these cases. I'm going to do the whole 100% job.
Okay, Gary. We got to take a break here. It is 7:28, and we'll be back with more of Gary Boren, and we'd love to hear from your questions. Give us a text at 806-680-2790 if you have something to question, or if you have a question for Gary Boren. We'll be back with more of Gary after this. We are KFYO Mornings. Dave King, Matt Martin here on your radio. 7:35 a.m. We're back with talking to Gary Boren, who's a candidate for Lubbock County Judge. Where did we leave off? I'll tell you, we have a slew of people who have commented this morning on our text line. From the 470 prefix, it says, "It's refreshing to see a real conservative running to serve. Gary has my vote. He surely doesn't come up like our city council or mayor that only plays conservative on radio and TV."
Now, we did have a caller that had a question. They want you to confirm that. Let's see. I'm just going to read this. What we've got that you won't spend any taxpayer dollars on hiring lobbyists or trips to Austin that we don't need.
You know, I was talking to the volunteer firefighters yesterday evening, and we were talking about when you get in there and start scrubbing that budget, you have to reset priorities. And there's a lot of needs in the volunteer fire departments because especially this year with all the dry land fires we've been having and all the issues going on. And I told them, I said, if we took the trips that these county commissioners that they take, if you just start cutting the travel budget, you get airfare, you get cars you have to rent, you get fine hotels, you get fine meals, and then you stay 2 or 3 days, or if you make it a weekend, go down on Thursday and come back on Sunday. You start multiplying that out, that's big bucks, folks, that's being spent with your taxpayers' money. Now, there are times when you have to go to Austin. My deal is get down there, get in, and get out. This is not vacation time, so...
Okay. Good answer. All right. From the more text messages this morning from 781 prefix, Gary, I'm glad that you don't have a law degree. Yes, I love that you are a deplorable. The Coliseum's a perfect example of lawyers pushing paperwork, and now we had to give it back. We also have, let's see, so Boren is actually going to sit as judge in all the cases and make the verdicts in all.
I'm going to here's the bottom line for anybody. Anyone that want to be in this job, the listeners, whatever your job is you do in life in Lubbock, I'm going to do what the state law says and follow the state law exactly, and I'm going to bust my tail like a private businessman I am and work to get it done. I always told my kids when they played sports and stuff, you may not be the most athletic, the fastest, the quickest, whatever, but we can outwork people, and we're going to work hard. Now, I did find out from the Austin Statesman that if you'll do the probates and guardianships 2 days a week, that the state will give you an additional $25,000 raise. Now, no one talks about that, and so I'm going to talk about it. I'm not going to do it for a $25,000 extra raise. I'm doing it because that's the job requirements.
So why is the state doing that?
I don't know. I don't know what the real skinny is on that stuff. There's a whole lot that I'll tell folks up front. I don't know a whole lot that goes on down there, but I do know that when it comes to your money, it's not my money. It's your money. That you're the boss. You're the citizens. You're the one that tells me what you need done. I'm not there to tell you. You don't get it. You're not smart enough. You're not qualified. You don't have all the skills it takes to do this job. I'm going to do what you, the boss, tells me to do.
Okay. From the 724 prefix, another texter. I think this is Gary's wife that texted this one. Says, I like Gary Boren because he shoots straight. The other guy, who I'm sure is a new guy, talks in sentences I can't understand.
Okay.
Well, you need a little West Texas English, I guess, to mix that. Basically.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said the nice guy, not a new guy.
Okay, yeah. Really the difference here is experience. I have 47 years of surviving in Lubbock business, which I'll tell you, folks, if you can make it in Lubbock business, I don't care what level it is, if you're a plumber, if you're a serviceman, a technician, a home builder, a roofer, I tell you, if you can do insurance, it's tough in Lubbock to make a living. And the average family of four makes $45,000. And it's really tough when the government starts loading on you appraisals and taxes, and then the insurance comes behind it and says, we got to up your premiums for home replacement. I have 47 years experience in business, surviving, fighting, growing. I have experience working with every major company. I've been in government. I know budgets from $500 million to $106 million at the, when the school district was there. I understand how you have to legislate and work and get things done. My opponent didn't have any experience.
Hey.
It's just pretty talk, nice talk to make you think that he does.
So, Gary, one thing that has come up, it's been going around apparently, Facebook, is that Kim Davis, which is connected to the Parrish campaign, has implied that you quit the city council due to an inappropriate use of authority. Why did you leave the city council?
This is over a decade ago, and you have to frame this. We were basically had discovered that we were out of water. Lake Meredith was going dry. We were holding the city council. The city council was holding the city hall accountable for what was going on, and so we had to make a lot of changes down there. The city charter says that we have the right to inquire and find out from the management about anything going on in the city of Lubbock. And basically, we only have three responsibilities of hiring. That's the city attorney, the city manager, and city secretary. And so we had to make changes. Now, folks won't recall all this information. It's over a decade ago. And as a matter of fact, the things were so screwed up that we had to bring in KPMG, which is one of the top 3 international accounting firms, and they came into the city of Lubbock and had to restate the books for 3 years of just flat misrepresentation on the financial statements. And so a lot of things were changed. There's a lot of hardworking folks at the city of Lubbock, a lot of great people working down there, and just like any other business, there's a few apples that aren't too hot, and they sued the whole city council. I never was sued individually by anybody. I never was, they sued the whole council. And when I left in 2007, I had to leave because it was the beginning of it was the greatest recession we had since the Depression, 2007, 2009, and we're in the jobs business. And I had to make a choice for our family. I had to decide, do I want to stay down here and make $25 a month, or am I going to go back home and take care of our family, my mom, my wife, our kids? It was an easy decision for me, which today I would do the same thing because that's my number one responsibility, was surviving. And so I left, and there was an employee that had sued all of us. And when I left, you don't get out of a deposition whether you're there or not there or whatever. That's the way it is. You don't get out of nothing. They ended up settling, and that's the end of the story. So it's a bunch to do about nothing. That's why I have 3 mayors that have endorsed me, and numerous city council people that I worked with: Jim Gilbreth, Paul Bean, the 3 mayors, Mayor Mark McDougall, the late Tom Martin. He was part of my campaign, and he was going to endorse me publicly, but he worked with me publicly. People saw him. And Glenn Robertson. We've had all 3. I've had great endorsements from the two county elect commissioners, and they know my credibility. I've had 2 former chancellors. They know my credibility. So being part in the government, civil suits are things that happen pretty much a lot of the time.
Okay. Let's take a quick break, Gary, and we'll come back and close out our visit with you this morning here on KFYO. And we're back at 7:48 a.m. Dave King, Matt Martin here on KFYO Mornings. Okay. Text messages this morning, Gary. 584 prefix says, why is Is Parrish not having any public office experience a poor thing, yet Corley and Shea, who don't have any public office experience, a plus?
Well, we're talking about the county judge position. County commissioner is a critical position to have oversight over a segment of the county, working roads, working budgets, and things like this, and they do have experience doing that. So they're private business people, which I like, and they know how to pinch a penny, and they know what it means to a homeowner. But, I want you to know that the winds of change are blowing through Lubbock County. We need everyone to get out and vote. You got today till 8 o'clock, and then the general election on Tuesday, the 22nd. It's critical. All you conservatives, we need you to get out and vote. I'm the one person in between Jason Corley and Chad C. who can bring about the change that you've asked for. If you want status quo, if you want the same old going on, you want your taxes being run away, not under control by someone who has no experience at the helm, then I won't be your candidate, because when I go in there with Jason and with Chad C., we are going to scrub that budget. We're going to do a reset of priorities, and we're going to make a difference for homeowners. We're in a critical time, and the winds of change have blown. Let's make this the first conservative court in the history of Lubbock. It's been a long, long time, over 20 years. It's for the citizens. We're going to go to work for the citizens. We're all going to work hard and do this.
Okay. I'm sorry. I got. We don't have a lot of time. We got a couple more questions. In your debate with on Tuesday night with Curtis Parrish, there was a lot of back and forth about the ambulance problem in the county, of how long it takes for ambulances to get out there. And right now, at least in the city, UMC has the contracts for the ambulance service. Is there anything that you know to do to change that? Is there some kind of solution to fix the ambulance problem?
Yes, there is. It's been going on about the last couple of years, but the hospital district is under the oversight of the Lubbock County commissioners and judge. We appoint the board of directors. We approve their tax rate. We approve their budget. We approve bonding. And, there's some issues out there. Curtis has mentioned a timing issue. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not saying that he's not true. I just haven't seen the stats that he's looking at, and they may be true or they may not. But we need to find out, because if it is true, we certainly need to get it fixed outside the county. The city and the Covenant and UMC have all come together with Grace Hospital trying to work out this issue on the ambulance. So I hadn't seen their final report, but I know they have been working on that. So that's just one of the responsibilities, and I think that's where you have to approach everything with a business attitude, and know how to get things done, and know how to work it in the government circles to come to compliance for the citizens.
Okay, and so one other thing, this is something I asked your opponent, and he said yes. So I'm gonna try to extort you into making you say yes too. But the county commissioners have been less than transparent, or it's not that they haven't been transparent. It's just that the knowledge of what's been going on there hasn't come out until something major happens. Would you be willing to come on our show once a month, or at least fairly often, and tell us what is going on in the commissioner's court?
To me, that's part of the job, is doing that. And we've also talked about moving the commissioner's court and holding it in the cities around Lubbock, like once a quarter, one in Slayton, going to Idalou, going to New Deal, Shallowater, Worforth, and holding it there once a quarter. CHLs can bring their guns. You can bring whatever you want to do and hold court and let you see what goes on. And I told them, as far as open records, open it up. Give people what they want to know. Don't make them go through a 10-day wait, go through the Attorney General. Open it up, unless there's some kind of exception that's printed in the law of a personnel or property or pending lawsuit or something that is not opened up, but you open it up. It's your government. You're the citizen. You're the owner.
From the 778 prefix this morning, a texter says, "Great job, Gary, even though Parrish got an hour."
So we have the media ganging up on me here. So.
That's it, man.
Yeah, we got to go.
Well, let me say one thing, guys. I'm the one that fought and got passed to freeze your property taxes if you're 65 and older or getting ready to turn 65 and disabled. And I'm with that kind of attitude. I want you to know I'm working for you. The 65 years and older today, when your property taxes being frozen, is critical. If that hadn't happened, you'd be taxed out of your home.
Yeah.
We got to get you out and vote, conservatives. Y'all get out and vote today and Tuesday. We need your vote to make this work.
Okay, Gary, thanks for coming on. Thanks for everything you do, and good luck.
I don't get another hour.
No, not another hour. No,
Okay.
Just one.
Be sure and vote, conservatives. Get out and vote.
7:53 a.m. We'll be back with more after this.